If someone looked at your day from the outside, they might say you're just procrastinating. But you know that's not quite it. The problem isn't what you need to do, it's what happens in your head before you even start. At some point, almost everyone starts to doubt themselves. You look at the day, at the list of things that didn't move forward, and the conclusion comes too fast. Maybe I'm just lazy. Not because anyone said it, but because it feels like the simplest explanation. If I wanted it badly enough, I'd do it. If I were different, I'd perform better. What's strange is that this feeling doesn't show up when everything is falling apart. It appears when, in theory, life is under control. You're not in a crisis, nothing major went wrong. Still, there's a constant delay between intention and action. You think about doing something, and it takes longer than it should to begin. And once you do, any interruption feels bigger than it should. You sit down to work, study, or handle something simple. You open what you need, a few minutes go by, you haven't made progress, but you also haven't rested. You walk away with the sense that you spent energy for nothing. When this repeats often enough, it starts to feel like a pattern. And patterns slowly turn into identity. This is just how I am. I've always been like this. I can't stay consistent. The problem is that this explanation ignores the environment you're living in. Today, almost nothing happens in a straight line. The day is made of constant shifts in attention. One thing pulls you away from another. Nothing feels urgent, but everything competes. By the time you try to focus, your mind is already too crowded to stay in one place. This doesn't feel like classic exhaustion. Sleeping doesn't fix it. Rest doesn't clear it. It's a kind of fatigue that comes from fragmentation, from reacting all day and rarely sustaining attention. Your mind feels full, but nothing is properly organized. Ideas come and go without ever being completed. Then, a quiet side effect shows up. Anything that requires continuity starts to feel uncomfortable. Reading for a while, thinking slowly, executing something from start to finish, not because it's hard, but because it demands presence, and presence has become rare. Over time, your behavior adapts. You start choosing shorter tasks. You prefer things that end quickly. You delay anything that requires mental endurance. It feels like strategy, but it's really adjustment. And at the end of the day, the feeling is always the same. A lot of movement, very little progress. Calling this laziness is tempting. It gives a simple answer to something confusing, but it also creates a bigger problem because it turns a temporary state into a personal flaw. You push yourself harder, you apply more pressure, you assume force will fix it. Most of the time, it only makes things worse. Maybe the real question isn't, why don't I do more? Maybe it's, what is constantly occupying my attention? Because action doesn't depend only on motivation, it depends on space. Ideas need uninterrupted time to turn into action. Without that, everything feels heavier than it should. This doesn't mean you're always right or that the world is entirely to blame, but there's a real difference between lack of willingness and overload. One is internal, the other is environmental. Confusing the two makes you fight the wrong problem. Reducing the volume isn't escaping reality, it's adjusting the ground. Less input before demanding output. Less stimulation before expecting focus. Not as a rigid rule, but as basic awareness. Maybe you're not lazy. Maybe you're just trying to function in a mental environment that never leaves room to think properly. And understanding that difference changes more than it seems.